The D and Davis Show.
D and Davis, the show, bringing you our sports take weekly. Maybe we'll do it not bi-weekly, but twice a week. Give you 2 shows a week since we're working from home, even though work it can be daunting. But next week it'll be easy. Quarterly's MFA. It's not about me. It's about all you people out there fighting this corona war. And real quick, from a lot of times, and we always want to thank everyone that's at the hospital, the CNAs, and all those people that risk their lives. Got family members, a nurse. She caught it. Her husband caught it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Sorry.
But also, thank you. And we wish the best for them, blessings and energy their way and anybody's way. But also the people that have to work and have to either deliver. Again, we talked about in the flip, Dee's auntie, her fiance, and a host of family members are CTA drivers. I got a cousin that's a CTA driver, has to go to work. Mm-hmm. Just had some food delivered here a second ago. A person is risking their butt because you know what? They need their paycheck. And so for everybody out there that's risking it, please, take precaution. But we definitely appreciate it. All right, D and Davis Show. I'm Kenneth Davis. His name is
D. Demonspro. What's up, everybody? Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at D and Davis Show. Once again, it's at D and Davis Show. Facebook.com/D and Davis Show. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Music, Stitcher, the War on app. War on Anchor will kick you over to Spotify. There you go. And YouTube, where you can watch us. And thank you so much for everybody checking us out and give us those views. Definitely subscribe, rate, share over all the platforms. Simply search for the D and Davis Show, D and Davis Flip, and Westworld Flip. All right. I'm on Twitter and IG at Demons1, DEMONZE1. Ken is on Twitter and IG at That's Davis. And executive producer of the D and Davis Show. As Ken will say, everything we do. One Ryan Bukoveski. Ryan's on Twitter at Ryan B. Ski and IG at Ryan B. Ski 1.
All right, guys, let's go off top.
Off the top.
Off top.
What you got, Ryan?
Just kind of had a question for you guys regarding anything, but specifically the NFL draft. Mm-hmm. It's kind of just
these pansy-ass front office people complaining about not being virtual.
That's what I'm saying.
We can't do it. We got to risk the corona.
What's going on now?
All right, so real quick. I'm sorry, Ryan.
It's Ryan's.
Yeah, wait to just step.
Yeah, grab. Steal is off the top. I never seen it. Like trying to.
Is that one of your couple too that you're surprising us with?
He tried to do a defensive rebound. Give me that. No offensive rebounds for you.
I put it on the board and pulled it back off.
The Russ Westbrook. I got it.
Not goodness. All right,
Go ahead, Ryan.
I know the NFL wants to take advantage of the ratings, and they're all super conservative, and that seems to be the tagline for that kind of political affiliation to just get business going as usual. But they should be delaying this thing, right? Like, this is crazy. These GMs are going to be making picks by themselves in their houses.
Well, no,
they're
not going to be by themselves.
They're going to be.
They're going to be at home,
zoomed in with everybody. But if you have your internet go out and you're by yourself.
Could you imagine Ryan Pace's internet going out? It's like, damn, what do I do?
Wait,
something bad happens. Did you guys hear also that they hacked the Zoom for one of the pro sports teams? They had some kind of press conference that they were going to do through Zoom, and somebody hacked it and put a bunch of racial slurs. Yeah,
New York Rangers have a black
right
black
there.
Player.
You go.
And it was N-words dropping. It was M-bombs dropping like it was nobody business. I
just think that there's a high level of mess-uppery that's going to happen at this NFL draft.
Well,
I just don't know if it's worth it.
My complaint wasn't that. My complaint was that there are front office people who are still complaining that they can't all be together. And they said that they would sit there in social distances and stay 6 feet apart, which we know they probably wouldn't. And that they want to gather together, kind of for what you're saying, Ryan, you don't want your internet to drop, but you always have contingency plans and you always have a big board anyway. So you know when player Y is gone, that you can still get player Z. Yeah, they're also, what he's saying, they're probably going to have some built-in redundancies too.
Yeah.
Where it's like that text line is right there. Go, hey, take your text off of the Wi-Fi and use your data. So that way we don't have to worry if your Wi-Fi is down. But my biggest complaint was that they wanted to be together. Now, I'll say this. What you're saying isn't wrong, but going along with why the players wanted to still have free agency, because one, They want to get that money and know where their families are supposed to be.
Well,
next
I'm just
year.
talking about the draft.
Yeah, but I'm saying the same thing. Those young players want to know what team, what system they're going to be playing for. Plus, teams need to know what positions are filled in. So if not, they can fill in with the rest of the players that are still remaining on free agency and the players that usually get cut after, if we have it, preseason. So, yeah, as long as they're not touching, I mean, it's harder, especially without being able to physically touch these players and have your doctors look at them. I'll say that. But when it's
and all the facilities are closed, like it's not going to be OTA.
But the facilities,
camp or anything.
the facilities aren't going to open. I agree with you. So you're not going to be able to bring them in as far as testing them anyway. But you may as well find out who are the players that you want to bring in, so those players can at least get their playbook. Like. You may as well get it over with. As far as you're doing the responsible thing by not having people gathered together. You're not having the players there. It's unfortunate they don't get their chance to walk across the stage, but still get the business along. And it also gives your fan base something to grab onto and bite into with nothing going on.
Yeah,
well, let me say one thing to that.
Yeah.
What about waiting till May? What's the big deal of waiting till May, like all the other teams and leagues, to see what happens? Why adamantly stay late April?
Probably because they don't know if everything's going to get extended. There's kind of like 50-50 news coming out right now. As far as the news talking about the coronavirus has hit its peak, what's going to happen, but that depends on where you at throughout the country.
Sure.
So I think in their mind, to your question, Ryan, it's like, why are they just doing this? It seems kind of greedy. They should probably postpone it. I would think that they're probably just like, it's so NFL. Forget it. We're just going to do it. But to Kid's point, I think it is a lot about scheduling, because I guess they want to at least have everything lined up right. So when football season kicks off, which around about September, they're okay. So, I mean, they're taking a leap of faith, I think, doing this, but that's probably why they're doing it.
I don't think it's a leap of faith.
I think it's a leap of faith because you just don't know what's going to happen in the future. We still don't know what's going to happen, how long this. But I will say this to answer at least my position on to answer Ryan's question. They have a lot of contingency plans, and they can't do this via technology. That will be Zoom. That will be, as you said, your phone, your text messages. You can still have a draft. And we just saw the XFL. Everybody didn't see it, but they had a virtual draft. And I'm sure a few people were in a room together, but they did it via YouTube. They did it virtual. So to say that they can't do it is crazy. They can do it. I don't know why you have to be in the same room with somebody.
Well, it goes to what he was saying. He was saying that because it makes it easier. Two things.
Yeah,
I don't think it's not a risk that you have in a draft. It's just a draft. It's just really pomp and circumstance. I'm saying
the sense of a risk. I'm talking about scheduling. You can have it. I understand what you're saying. I'm talking about the scheduling side.
I mean,
but what's the risk? Scheduling. But wait, hold on. There's no scheduling risk. All it is they used to do this with the commissioner sitting in a room by itself, basically. Yeah. All right, that's how they used to do it. Like it's basically going back to, except that the front offices aren't together. But as far as the players, they used to find out through a phone call. And if you're not in the first round, you usually find out through a phone call anyway. So, and again, also, you have all these sponsors. Now, this is the money side. The NFL draft is bank. So you have all these sponsors. You have all these clips and reviews from the college side that they're supposed to be played. It's theater. So they're going to, that's what I'm saying with sponsors. It's the going on with the theater. And also getting back to the scheduling part. Okay, OTAs are supposed to kick off the end of this month, I believe. So now
they would start like now. Teams are ready with new coaches.
I was gonna say the new coaches, but not the old coaches. Old coaches.
But everybody have OTAs, but by the time of the draft.
But this point I'm trying to make is I believe they start around the 20th. But the point still is, at least with the OTA window opening, you can give your players whatever. If it's new coaching philosophy, new plays, you can start to at least mentally grasp. They can at least talk to these rookies. It gives them more time. Yes, it isn't the best way, but at least it's something to do to start to try to get them ready for the NFL season. So prolonging it with them not knowing what team they're going to go to, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help the team or the player.
The one thing I'm still kind of interested to see, we kind of brought this up too, is the simple fact of like the physicals and the doctors. Now, obviously, we know, as Ken's pointed out, talking about the first responders, people going out there working, CTA bus drivers, things like that here in Chicago. But you have doctors across the country, some who coming out of retirement to come back and to help during this pandemic, right? So only thing I was thinking of is kind of like, okay, you have these particular doctors. I don't know their practice, and I don't know if they're going to their local hospital helping out with this. And I know travel is low, but I was still, maybe I'm not naive about this, I don't know, but I would think that you would still be able to see a particular player. Now, the amount of players, I don't know, but I would think that maybe that player can still go see a doctor. They can still have that physical per se, and that information still can be sent out to the team.
It's still you trust the doctor.
That's a bad look. That's a bad look.
It is a bad look.
Are you talking about the players traveling?
He's still doing it.
No, you just would give whatever the doctors at the school.
Can you have a doctor in your city that you live in?
It depends on if the pandemic is bumping there, because you don't want.
That's why I said we don't know what the doctor.
What Ryan is saying is what Ryan is saying about a bad look. I think for the most part, they're going to go after the data that they know. For instance, if it's Tua, a guy that was hurt, depending on how he was at the end of the year, I'm sure the teams, the schools have doctors, even though can you trust them? But also remember, those doctors want to go on and have long careers, so they may not be willing to necessarily lie about any injuries or anything that the player has that's nagging them. I think that's what they're going to go off of. Look, I'm not saying it's the best case scenario, especially when it comes to players' injuries, and also when it probably comes to being able to, I don't know, body language and talk to somebody. Some people may be good at that. I'm not saying that I am. He
probably did that. He probably did that at the combine, though, right?
Everybody didn't really. I mean, everybody went to the combine, but everybody didn't perform at the combine.
You're right.
So it's still. I mean, you think about like the pro days. How much more contact they have with the players when it's stuff like that that's going to be gone now. But also, I mean, again, physically, there is something to be said about learning someone when you're sitting in a room with them compared to either you're on Zoom or on the phone. So that's definitely best case scenario. But you can overcome this. Basically, it's going to be. There's going to be stuff about it in the future. Be like, man, I want to draft him if the COVID wasn't going on. I mean, people are going to use this as a big time excuse.
Also, they're going to have now they have a case. They have a scenario where something happens
moving forward. They know what to do. They probably going to need to start whenever the window opens. And even though it's not best case scenario, because you want to get a evaluation of that player's health as close to when you're going to draft them, you probably annually players that you think are going to get drafted. The NFL should probably just have doctors checking these kids out, especially if you don't want to come back in this fluid season, which is the COVID season that's going to return. You probably need to try to figure out something to start to get around this when people are allowed to move around outside, quote unquote, freely.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I'm with you guys. Like, it's doable to do the draft. But I'm just thinking of, like, how difficult it potentially could be to do trades. And we know how big of a deal that is for a lot of teams. The Tua factor, when you talk about all these medicals, like, I'm hearing potentially theories that a guy like Justin Herbert's going to be the second quarterback off the board, because do you want to be the team that really goes after Tua when you haven't seen any of his medicals or anything?
Don't you believe that? Don't you believe it?
But what if that does happen? That's a viable theory. But players are going to fall down.
All right, one thing you just said. You know, you can still make. You know, those teams that make trades aren't in the same room with one another. They're doing it on. They're doing it.
You're
on the phone.
relying completely through connection of the rest of your guys, because the GM is consulting with all types of people.
So whoever is usually talking to Team X, go talk to Team X and come back to me with the deal.
Ken, you know that we do this Zoom all the time, and we have problems sometimes getting connected.
We don't have Zoom Pro either. I bet you they got Zoom X.
Right, and then everybody in the entire grid is using this thing, and depending on where their facilities are,
listen, let me tell you this, Ryan. If your ass is on this Zoom when that draft is going on, messing the Zoom up. I'm surprised
that you guys are just like, oh, whatever. You know.
But remember, people out here dying. People out here dying. You like,
why do we need a draft? Why do we need
a distraction? Listen, compared to Dana White,
distraction from the death.
Listen, compared to Dana White, they're not risking anybody in this situation whatsoever. Right. All right? I mean,
they're risking their livelihoods moving forward.
They do that anyway.
That's an everyday thing. But remember,
that's different.
But remember, there was NFL drafts way before the internet. So you had telephones, you had mail. I don't know what the hell you probably did in 19.
Yeah, but you can't compare all that stuff. Back then, free agency didn't matter.
They actually used to walk to school. No.
Ryan, I understand.
Scout the players before that draft when they made the telephone. They can't do that now.
I think we all have a good, healthy understanding and skepticism about possibly what's going to happen what can happen because we've never seen anything like this before, right? So we just kind of see what happens. There was a once before the time, before technology, you can have the draft.
So that's my question. Is that a good idea? Is that a good idea to be like, let's just see what happens and just get it done?
But the problem is this. You never know when you're going to be allowed to gather together as a group that large. So why keep postponing it when just go ahead and get it over with?
That's my point.
I'm just saying, even if you moved it to May, who would say in May they would let them do it? Then you move it to June, then the players still don't know where they're going. You still haven't had a connection with the team. At least now they can learn who their teammates are, and they can mentally learn some of the plays that are going on and get some of the verbiage.
But that was my point before. I'm sure they probably just want to do it and get it out the way. Wherever, if you want to say there is a risk or not a risk, they just want to do it, right?
It's not unprecedented, though. When they had the lockout in 2010 or the near lockout, everything was closed all the way up until the lead of the season.
Yeah. I mean, they'll figure it out. Listen, man, this is a billion-dollar industry.
Wait. They still had the draft, though.
Yeah, but you couldn't work out. You couldn't be with your
True,
players,
but they still, okay. But guess what you just said? They had a lockout, but they still had a draft. So So they're doing the same thing. They're proceeding with let the play, and this time at least you can talk to your coaches. So why not take advantage of talking to your coaches? Why wait?
Again, the point is a month of hanging out, doing nothing on the field that big of a deal? I don't think it's that it helps the player too much.
When you keep saying a month,
Ryan isn't alone with this.
But but who knows if it's going to be a month? Like we're saying
they might not even play.
You're right. So at least this kid starts to know our philosophies, and we start to try to get him indoctrinated. I don't, because football, again, is the closest thing when it comes to sports-wise, because it's not as serious as to the military. You need to know who you go into battle with. It's better for you to start to get an understanding. And if you have leaders,
better than nothing. How many times did we talk about with like a guy like Kevin White? Oh, he's getting those mental reps. He's getting all those mental reps.
Yeah, but busts are going to be a bust. Look, regardless of this, busts are going to be a bust.
But what about the guys? You got to get better on the field.
Yeah, but
it's not going to happen just on the side.
But what about but he was a bust. Like physically, he couldn't play.
But I'm saying
on top of his lack of routery,
practice.
I'm not arguing that, but to still say that they're not players who can't benefit from this, I don't understand why you would hold them back.
No, I'm not saying that they can't. I just think I think I have a different
I'm not overrated.
How much benefiting they get it.
My thing is, I'm not trying to overrate it. What I'm trying to say is sometimes we keep talking just like, real quick, Mike Gundy down in Oklahoma State. He said that they're going to come back in May and that they're going to sit there, and if someone's sick with the COVID, they're going to sit there and quarantine them off like it's the flu. Dude, this is not the flu.
Exactly. All right? That's the stupidity right there.
So the point that I'm trying to make, Ryan, is no, you can't sit there and keep saying, okay, but put a date on it. Just like we know when they say kids are going back to school on August 30th, that's just a whole date till they tell us they're not coming back. So,
think about it from a national thing, above football. If you get these kids drafted, they're automatically going to want to meet up and do the Dak Prescott, Des Bryant thing that we talked about in the flip. So you're encouraging social meetup rather than social distancing.
But they would be doing that anyway. Not
if they aren't drafted. They don't know who their teammates are.
You still don't think they wouldn't practice with professional players?
Of course they would.
All right.
It's different.
It's not into the draft. We're spreading it through the draft.
Wait a minute,
are you going to practice by yourself, or if you know who your teammates are, you're going to go after
listen, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. What you just said, your point isn't invalid. They will tell them, even if they do practice, don't be like Dak Prescott and Dez, Antonio Brown and Lamar.
Yeah, like that matters.
I'm just telling you as far as like we said, it's not a good look. But saying we should postpone the draft when we don't know if we could have a regular draft, it doesn't make sense to me. You may as well get the draft out the way. That's the same reason. I mean, for the most part, that's like them moving up the Jordan thing. And I know this isn't them moving it up, but if we're living in a world where people need distractions, Dana White and
I don't think so.
And Trump, it's the draft. I mean, no, it'd be different if they were risking their lives to actually go to the draft. Then I'll be like, what the hell are you doing? You didn't have to go and do this. Let them go ahead and have a draft.
I mean, I'm with you. I respect your side. I just think I'm on the opposite end.
Yeah.
I think they should postpone it.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. All right. Off the top next. All right.
I got one.
Oh, okay.
I got two, but I got this one first.
Go ahead. Off the top.
The surprise.
Cal Ripken should have sat his ass down.
What?
25 years ago, Cal Ripken broke.
Wait,
Lou
the thing
Gehrig.
that he's famous for? You think he shouldn't have done that?
It's no way in the world that he. Do you think about how selfish Cal Ripken was? That
What?
Yeah, like really think about it. Really seriously.
Okay.
Like if you go to a baseball game, usually if a player didn't get time off on Sundays, that player usually gets a time off. Like you in that long of a season, you need a break. Like there was points where because he was tired, he was not the best player to play shortstop that day. I'm not saying, dude, if he played 80% more games than any other MLB player, fine. But to think that he didn't need a day off is crazy. That was some selfish ish. I know initially he was like, I wasn't trying to break it. Yeah, right. Cal Ripken should have sat his ass down off the top.
Oh.
D, I can't handle another Ken argument. You got to handle this one.
Well, I think back then you look at, I'm not going to say load management, but you do have a lot of players from a different ilk and a different era who just went out there and just played. Now, I do believe the Iron Man streak took on a life of its own. And I think Cal Ripken definitely wanted to keep that going selfishly, which, I mean, he has a World Series ring, so it's not like he doesn't have a championship. But this is something that's huge to him and huge on his name. So, yeah, I think he would probably want to do it. Do I think he should have sat down? If he wasn't hurt and he can still play, take your ass out there and keep on playing.
Wait,
go ahead.
Would Ken Davis sit down?
No, this is the thing, real quick. This is the point. And going back to what D just said, that, okay, we're talking about players from a different timeline. Like, if this wasn't Cal Ripken wasn't an outlier, there would be a ton of players who were chasing that Iron Man streak. There would have been a ton of them, guys. It's like, all I do is go out there and play. We would hear about Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb and Honus Wagner. Listen, where are they at? They took a day off. Like, and these are old Ted Williams. Dog, these are great all-time players. Joe DiMaggio, guess what they did? They occasionally took a day off because it benefits the team if you're tired to let a 70% player get in there if you're basically at half because you're wore down. I'm not listen, Cal Ripken's all-time great, phenomenal, but that Iron Man streak it had more than a tinge of selfishness towards it, right?
Do you then think Lou Gehrig is crazy selfish for setting that streak in the first place?
No, because he was going to die.
Oh, here we go.
I got to get off my business.
So Cal Ripken just needed a deadly disease, and today. It's
the greatest day.
What happens if Cal gets COVID? Does that count?
It doesn't count. No,
does that count?
Lou Gehrig had it. He had it back then. He was sitting on the bench with Babe Ruth, like, I think I got that itch.
He had polio, right? Did he have polio?
No, he died fucking children.
I'm sorry, Lou Gehrig disease.
Okay. ALS,
yes. I don't know why.
Throw an ice bucket on my ass.
Listen, I would not have told Cal Ripken to go sit his ass down.
You should have.
I would not have told that. This dude is probably, if not, top 3, top 5 greatest shortstops of all time.
He's top 3. He probably top 3.
Probably top 3. He wasn't hurt. He was out there balling.
Some people have him as number 1.
Ooh, I don't know if I put him number 1.
No, I'm like that. When I was watching this summer about on MLB Network, they kind of had him at number 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was he in the running with? Barry Larkin?
Barry Larkin, probably Derek Jeter.
Or was Barry Larkin second base?
No, he was shortstop. Wasn't Barry Larkin a shortstop?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was.
He was shortstop, right? Yeah.
Definitely, I think A-Rod was up there. Ozzy's offensive numbers weren't that good until he was older. Yeah, that's the problem. That's why he doesn't have it. But that's really why they look at Cal as being the prototype of Derek Jeter and A-Rod, that big-ass shortstop. You know, a guy that big wasn't supposed to play short, especially for as long as his selfish-ass play.
Oh, my God.
But they look at it as the prototype.
Cal Ripken joins the likes of Captain America from Marvel.
and Justin Timberlake.
No, that's mine. That's my wall.
Oh my God!
I love Cal Ripken. This is facts. Why can't we just listen? He did something. He did something selfish. He succeeded. Most things are selfish.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, most things, like if you're looking at it, it's selfish. So we all do selfish stuff.
Why you do that?
To be a
This right here is selfish.
To be a professional athlete, you got to have a little selfishness in you. But like I said, though, that was a completely different era. I don't think anybody
It wasn't a completely different era. Nobody else was doing it. Nobody else was. You make it seem like everybody was doing it. If it was a completely different era, everybody would have been doing it. Listen, where's Willie Mays on that list? Let's go back.
How many times have you heard older guys from older generation of playing sports? Like, if you ain't hurt, you go out there and play. He did it. You're paid to play. You're paid to play. He did it to the nth degree.
Those wasn't MLB guys.
Hey, he lived up to his contract. He played every one of them.
I guess so. All right. What's up next? Off top.
All right, I got one. So MLB is thinking, and we kind of heard this a while ago, about they are hoping about this, that they move all their games out to Arizona. They basically play in the spring training facilities with no fans there, but they'll start the season off there. So,
and the players in the hotels.
They'll be in quarantine.
They'll be quarantined from each other, basically.
For the rest of the year. For the rest of the season.
For 4 months.
For 4 months, basically. Until everything is passed.
And Mike Trout got a kid coming in August.
Until Lori Lightfoot and Gavin Newsom say, basically, y'all can come back to the States and y'all can play in y'all respective cities. So, I got Tony Gill down at NBC Sports Chicago, and now I have a 10-game pass, season tickets, I'm going to say, for the Chicago White Sox.
Not no more.
So,
did they refund you yet?
No, 2 things. One,
they smoked that money. They're somewhere in the White Sox taking off like a smoke it out.
But what happened to the tickets? I smoked the tickets. So wait a minute. So shout out to our guy Brandon Pope on the Jam. He actually tweeted this out today too. And I was like, hey man, I don't care if they say they're gonna play on Mars. Me and Tony be able to watch better be 10 games at Comiskey. You know what I'm saying? So that's that.
Wait. You still would go and pay for that seat when you can't see them play if they're not going to be there?
No. What I'm saying is I don't care where they first start off. I'll play my 10 games when they get back here.
Really, dude?
Why?
2021, baby.
You like that COVID, huh?
Whoa. I'm saying.
Shorty, like, give me that for these 10 games. Give me that COVID.
I'll pay for 10. I'll be at COVID for anything.
What's wrong with you?
I'm saying
that's the worst place to be at a stadium.
Hold on. I'm saying if everything has been cleared, you're saying we can go back.
Y'all gonna go back.
Okay.
Are you smoking what Major League Baseball is
y'all know, like, listen, y'all out here.
Listen,
you like, as soon as they clear, time to gamble with my life.
I would say,
for them 10 games. What the hell is wrong with you? Boy, go get your money.
I will say this. I don't personally think they're probably going to start the season, not even in the 4 months. I'm of the belief, we talked about this about the NBA. There is no reason to risk anybody's life for this pandemic. It is a bleeping pandemic, right? I don't even think they should be even trying to play games out in Arizona. What makes them think that Arizona don't have COVID-19 out of Arizona? That makes no sense to me. So
it takes one person to infect those,
like 100 people,
a food server or something to infect those people, and that whole ish is gonna be like, what the hell was y'all doing?
It's not even worth it.
And the same thing to y'all that's gonna be at the stadium for them 10 games.
But this is my point though. I don't even know if you're gonna have a season to begin with. Now,
don't you get Tony killed?
Hey, we'll see. So, no. If I don't know, even if they're going to have, even if they should do this doesn't even seem smart to me. There is no reason at all until all the doctors and the medical professionals working on this pandemic comes out and say everything is okay. You shouldn't be doing any damn thing. No baseball, no football, no basketball, no nothing. Don't even fly to a private island that we'll talk about a little bit later on the show. Don't even do that. It's not worth it. I just don't get it. That's greedy. That's greedy.
Is this just a response So Trump's phone call to all the commissioners. This is
Hell
what baseball
no.
is trying to do.
But this is the thing, though.
We
Gavin,
know Dana White's is, but we will do that later on.
right. It comes down to the governors. So there is no reason to even think about having a league season when the governor of California or even the governor here in Illinois say they ain't playing.
That's why you got to get out of private island, bro. International waters, baby.
It ain't no reason.
You and Tony need to go there too. Come on, Tony. I heard they got that COVID over there on Eddie Murphy Island. Let's go.
It's just
Let's wait for Comiskey.
Yeah. It's just no reason. It's no reason to do it. It's no reason to do it.
All right. Off top. Bucks debuted their new uniforms, and it's not what we thought they were going to be.
The
Now
Buccaneers?
they're not bad, but they are the Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks weren't done. It's an interpretation of that Bucks team, the championship team. And I know why we still would have loved. I wanted to see an alternative. They got a black one in there. I want to see one creamsicle with
Next
the
year.
Buccaneer with the blade in his mouth, looking all fancy as you know what. And actually with the good team, like if only that team had like good times back then. Steve Young, what's his name that won the Super Bowl for the Washington football team, Doug Williams. Those Buccaneer teams, you know what I'm saying? Like they made us suck, but they had some bad unis. And especially go ahead.
Did you hear what Tom Brady said?
What'd he say?
Jerseys?
About the jerseys?
What'd he
Because
say?
they asked him about the creamsicle. He
What'd
said
he say?
they're going to have a two-tone helmet approved probably next year, and that's when the creamsicles are coming back.
Yeah,
All right.
dude. But you got to listen.
Two-tone helmet creamsicle.
Listen. Don't creamsicle uniform with the ship on the side. No. Buccaneer on the side with the blade. Now, but you know what? They're going to be like, you can't even put blades in your mouth no more. That's what's going to be right. What's that blade supposed to be saying?
It will hurt the kids.
Exactly. Just like, even though, listen, this is worse than the blade in the mouth. Remember when they stopped? You couldn't wear do-rags. Not do-rags. You couldn't wear bandanas. They stopped Deion and them from wearing bandanas. And you couldn't do this.
Yeah.
That is worse than just a guy, a cartoon character with the blade in his mouth. But if you give me that cat, I'm here for it, Tom Brady. Listen, they give me that next year, I'm rooting for the Bucs to win it all.
But do you want a full season of those?
I know. I just want it to be the alternative uniform.
Okay.
I want them to rock it two times, really. Give me 2 times a year where, just like the Bears with the orange top or whatever, give me 2 times a year where you bring that Buccaneers team. Because it's like we had to go through, especially remember, this was the NFC Central. Now, of course, it's the North.
Yeah.
But we had to live through years of bad Bucs football with those unis. Like, at least give us that. Give us them with a good team with those unis on, man. Like, that's all I desire.
I wonder how many people down there, the Bucs fans, they look at that jersey like, man, that's the worst thing. That's our worst time, our franchise, with those jerseys. Don't even bring them damn jerseys back. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool for the retro look of it. And especially, especially with this too now, the sales of that jersey or the sales of the shirts and
These kids love that jersey. These kids are
retro.
These kids will love that. Listen, you can sell that Buccaneer on a T-shirt, and that bad boy moves some. Yeah. I pop for one of those.
Yeah. I mean, it was a cool look. It was kind of a cool look then. It was just they was
bad. It was a joke.
So bad.
They were the Clippers.
Yeah.
Like old Clippers. Jerry Stackhouse, don't draft me Clippers.
Yeah. Michael Olowokandi Clippers.
Yeah, exactly.
Those kind of Clippers. Yeah. But I mean, it'll be cool for an alternate. Yeah, that'd be sweet. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a break. Come on back, give you more D and Davis show. Talk a little hoops here in Chicago. We back.
What's up, Chicago? This is Chris Sosa from Red Eye, and you're listening to the D and Davis show.
I don't think it's a good job. I think it's a great job. You've got a major market here, obviously, in Chicago. You've got the history and tradition of the franchise. You've got clean books going into 2021. You got all your first-round draft picks. You've got some of the best facilities in the entire league. The Advocate Center is just spectacular. It really is. The United Center and the Bulls and Blackhawks do a great job of keeping that building up. The roster has got some intriguing pieces. It's not a great roster, but it's not a bad roster. I mean, you can say what you want about John Paxson and Gar Forman. Even their biggest critic, I think, if you put them on a lie detector test, would say they've drafted well. And, you haven't had much lottery luck lately, but Wendell Carter Jr. and Kobe White at number 7 both look like nice young pieces. I know Markkanen has regressed this year. I think he's very salvageable. I think everybody would argue that everybody would agree that Zach LaVine took a step this year. So I think this roster has actually got decent potential. It's still a ways away. You're still in a rebuild. It's not easy to exit a rebuild, but I think it's a very, very attractive job. And the other reason I think it's an attractive job is you're going to be given the keys to the kingdom. This is full authority to make basketball decisions. This is the number one job. John will be around. We all know how much the Reinsdorfs like and value him, but John's not going to be hovering. That's not who John is. He wants what's best for the Bulls. He will not be hovering. So this person, whoever they hire, will be allowed to bring in additional staff, is my understanding. So they're going to be able to build out this infrastructure the way he sees fit. So I think this is a really good job, and that's why it's critical the Bulls get this hire right.
D and Davis, the show, second segment. Going to switch into a little bit of basketball talk, and actually we're going to go local with our Chicago Bulls front office. A couple things have come out. One, it broke today, I believe, Casey Johnson, that this is so cute. John Paxson is supposedly let the Bulls know that if they need to let him go entirely to hire some of these new hires, that he would be willing to go away. It's nothing less somebody who works for somebody else is telling you, I may just go away. If
you want me to go,
if I'm blocking you, maybe I should. Maybe it's me and not you. But Patriots general manager Chad Buchanan, who we talked about, told them due to his personal situation or his comfortability, I believe, where he's at with Indiana, that he's not even coming. Justin Zanuck of the Jazz GM, they're going to interview, and Nuggets general manager. They did interview him.
Yeah, they did.
Arturas, I think it's Karnosovas. They're going to interview him. Karnosova, thank you. And Bobby Webster, who I think I may like a little bit more. General manager
Webster is not going to interview. The Raptors blocked him.
Yeah.
Yeah, hating ass Raptors.
But
I saw the Raptors blocking because they don't know Nick Nurse or Ujiri.
Yeah, they don't know what's going to happen with their front office too.
What'd you say, Ryan?
Adam Simon is staying put.
Adam Simon is general manager where?
The Heat one. The Heat GM.
Yeah.
And he's staying put. But see, I'll say this much. We all knew going into this was stupid because thank you. Why would someone come and you're basically telling them that you listen, and these are general managers. These aren't assistant general managers. These are guys that are looking to be executive vice presidents of an organization.
And they step up.
Yeah, they've not right away within 2 years if they're successful in this new organization. Why am I going to go there and you have Paxton and we all know you have an affinity around the league. They know because they're like, what's going on in Chicago? Why are these people still there? You have an affinity for this man. And sooner or later, he's going to tell you an idea of mine doesn't sound right to him. So why am I even going to put myself in that situation when I could stay here with with all these organizations that run pristinely when we're talking about, for the most part, small market teams, building through the draft and building somewhat of a culture? Why am I even going to mess around with that? Like, I don't want to be the next Gar Forman. So it's funny that Pax has to be the one to tell in the relationship, like, you know what? You just need to go, right? Like, you need to let me go.
That's what Jerry does.
I know.
He keeps these people around, and it's like, no, Jerry, let me take myself out of the equation.
Well, this is the thing, though. So going to your point, Ryan, I mean, John Paxson has been there for what? I mean, over
17 years.
It's 17 years in this one role. Now, I ain't saying this is not the totality of his.
Actually, it's not the one role. He got a promotion.
Oh, that's true. He went from player to he went from
general manager to executive vice president.
Wait, player, broadcaster, general manager.
No, you didn't put coach in there. He was assistant coach.
Oh, that's right, assistant coach. So he has 5 positions in this organization until he hit the top to the vice president. I don't know. It seems kind of weird to me. I heard this Casey Johnson. I heard it on the Bulls Talk podcast with NBC Sports Chicago. Shout out to I got Jason Goff and Tony Gill down there. And Casey Johnson did say that. He's like, listen, the main person who's really pushing this is John Paxson. So he's the one saying, like, yeah, I take myself out of the equation. But to your point, Ken, it's kind of weird that the person in the relationship in there is kind of saying, like, oh yeah, I'll go if you want to go, if you want me to go. But it's also on the flip side, it's kind of like, it's also saying, but if you want me to stay, I stay too. So it's not. It's kind of like someone. It has to be Michael. It has to be Jerry. It is really so. Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't look at the Bulls kind of like the way he looks at the White Sox. And just know that he loves baseball. He knows baseball. Basketball is a moneymaker, right? So he has his son there, Michael Reinsdorf, to make these calls. But you would think in a leadership role that you will say, hey, Pax, you've been here for X amount of years. We love you. You will forever be a Chicago Bull. We got to pull you out of this altogether. Instead of him coming out, not going through the media, but kind of putting out publicly saying, oh, I'm willing to go if they want me to go. Those kind of things, those kind of signals aren't good either when you're looking for somebody to come in to take that job. Now, to Ryan's point, though, Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't fire anybody. You have this job forever. There's been like 2 general managers, Jerry Krause. I guess you want to say Gar Forman / John Paxson. That hasn't been that many.
Rob Thorne first.
Yeah, Rob Thorne first. Yeah, when he very first bought it first, but for most of the tenure, it's been John Paxson, it's been Jerry Krause. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it doesn't give out a good signal, but at least I'm happy that at least the Jazz dude did the Jazz guy did the interview, because looking at that organization where it's ran in the West too, that gives me a little hope. Hopefully he sees that as a step up. Chicago, 3rd biggest market in America. You come here, and if you have the autonomy.
He's a Northwestern cat too.
True, but if he has the autonomy that they say that he's going to have, hey man, you have a kingdom waiting for you.
That lets you know how bad he wanted to get out of Utah. That he did the interview. He was like, man.
But Utah is a well-oiled machine.
No. I'm not talking about the organization.
Oh, you're talking about the city,
the state.
So
all right, let me get my ass out of here.
And drink on Sundays.
Real quick, Ryan, before you jump in, I also call BS because John Paxson, if he was just to say he was out and about successful during his tenure, he would never go to some organization and take a position of power with somebody else above him. Like, you know that they don't want that. So, yeah, now you're out here coming out like, I'll do this, but you knew that going in. But, Brian, go ahead, please.
I just wanted your guys' opinion on the Denver guy, because I think that he's kind of my favorite right now of the candidates that they've talked about. Because they also talked about the Orlando guy.
We don't want no Orlando.
Casey Johnson said that they have a really long list, so we probably don't even have the full list.
I'm sure they have a long list. Everybody gonna say no though.
But I like the Denver guy a lot. He's probably
I'm with you. I think when you look at in the draft, the guys that they pick up when you're talking about
they fleeced the Bulls.
Cal Murray, yes. Yeah, but Devin Harris. Listen, Devin Harris is cool, but still, like, even his last 2 years hasn't necessarily been everything they want. But when you look at their key pieces, well, Murray one coming out, people kind of knew about. But when you look at Jokic, it's like if you can scout like that.
That's good.
Yeah, bring yourself over here. You know what I'm saying? Or even when you look at the Michael Porter Jr. with the value that you had when he was hurt. Right. That at that point at the end of the lottery, that hey, let's stash it. We were already a playoff team ascending. Let's stash this kid and see what we can get. So I'm with you, Ryan. I think that would probably I lean towards him. I lean towards him with that.
I like both of them because, like I said before, you got the Nuggets and the Jazz.
Yeah, I like them both. But you got to pick one, D.
Yeah, we like them both. We all like them both.
I'll go with the Denver guy, no doubt, because you see what the team has turned into in their top 3 seed in the West.
The highest that SGM has drafted is number 7. That's the highest he's been.
Hey, man, that's called good scouting. Good. That's called knowing what you're doing. That's called also being able to understand the landscape of the NBA right now. And they're able to do that without, you know what I'm saying, being able to bring somebody in from as a big time free agent. Something that they're going to have to do here in Chicago. Unfortunately, you have to do it through the draft, and we know both of these guys, and we like the Denver guy a lot more, but the Denver GM a lot more. But at least you know he's able to build a culture here, or potentially build a culture here if he's hired.
Also, if you think about it, it shows that they've been competitive and not just a tank-worthy team. And that's in the West. Mm-hmm. You're saying that they hit the 7th. That means that regardless of where they're at in the playoff run out West, out or in, they're being very competitive consecutively. So you at least want that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're going to be where we don't have, i.e. the star player because they don't want to come to this market, you at least want to have the team where the culture is set and you know that team finds draft picks and shuttles around the world to pick out these international players, and these guys are good with international players, because this isn't the old days where you could sit there and be R.C. Buford and Greg Popovich and in the second round basically just pillage the international draft
internationals,
because people are watching them. But even with people watching them, they're hitting on them more than anybody else. But still, like this is where we got to make inroads here in Chicago. Jerry Krause was one of the first guys over there going to get those guys when he went to go get Tony.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and of course we had people, Saronis, Barcelonis, and people that came over before that, Dawson Petrovic. But still, like those are the players that you need to go out and get. We already know that, especially later on, because a lot of eyes, even though now we have technology, you can see these players a lot more than you could in the past. So listen, I'm just happy that there's going to be a change. I think it's best for all parties included that Pax steps away. No one's naive. If Jerry Reinsdorf calls him and asks for advice, he's going to give it to him, even though Pax seems like an honorable guy. Once he makes a decision on something, maybe he won't intervene too hard with it. Mm-hmm. But still, it's time. This regime has failed. Like, it hasn't been the worst. Let's not make it. It hasn't been the worst, but it hasn't been a success. And outside of that one blip, 2 blips during the Derrick Rose era, it's really been mediocre for the most part.
I will give Pax at least this much credit as at least he's aware. You know, I mean, we can even go, but hold on. We can go back a few years before Derrick Rose. Hold on.
What?
Wait a minute. Hold on. We can go back to the years before Derrick Rose was picked up. I mean, before they drafted him, and he was ready to walk out because
he wasn't ready to walk out. He was going to get fired.
Well, no,
that was what was going to happen. No,
I think it was coming out that he was saying that he was burnt out. He was ready to go.
He was at Jerry Krause's position.
Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't fire anybody.
Yes, he fired Jerry Krause.
Look how bad it was, though.
But that's where Pax was. Listen, Pax was at a position where it was like, you know what? Yeah, you kind of took us out with these try-hard guys out of that era, but we've seen it.
To the playoffs, right?
You can, twice.
Didn't they not get out of the first round until Derrick Rose came here under John Paxson? I thought they kept getting beaten by the Wizards and the Heat and everything.
That year they beat the Heat in after the
that
Heat
1 year. Okay,
they beat the Heat in the first round.
They swept the Heat. Yeah.
But still, to your point, it was the Heat was under him. For him to be a Jerry Reinsdorf that doesn't fire anybody, it was basically like, yeah, Jerry's thinking it needs to be a change at that point. Now, I'm not saying that some of the Pax wasn't tired. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, it was the Heat, burnt out.
But it was the Heat that was under him.
Not denying that at all.
Yeah, that was Jerry. That's also what Jerry gets to that point. But again, remember, this is before Michael Reinsdorf, quote unquote, took over the basketball side of things. This is when Jerry's closer to the situation. Who knows how close Jerry is outside of what he sees in the news.
Not at all really now. Not really all right now. Because how many times do Bulls fans say, where's the ownership? They're kind of like the Brazzaro when it comes to Dolan. He's really into what's going on day to day. They're like really not even visible, especially old man. He's not really visible at all. So
except when he doesn't want to spend the money.
Yeah.
Question for you then.
Yeah.
So do you think Michael kept Paxson going, or was that from Jerry?
I think back then when we're Ken and I talking about, Jerry's probably still doing a lot more.
Yeah,
no, but I'm saying when Michael took over.
It's Michael.
Wait a minute, hold on. What'd you say, Ryan?
He's saying
when Michael took over, did he keep Paxson, or did Jerry say you're keeping Paxson?
I mean,
that's an interesting. You don't like it. You're not there.
The question is, we did exactly. We're not there, but the question is, how much of Michael how much is he like his father? And from at least from reports that we hear and people we talk to, he is like his father. So that loyalty is there, even going to the point of with Gar Forman. Isn't Gar Forman and Michael Reinsdorf's wife really cool? And
their wives are. That's what I was going to say. Their wives are cool, so that benefits John Paxson too, and not wanting to step it up because you're not going to promote Gar Forman because Gar Forman hasn't done anything. Also, they didn't fire Gar Forman. They just moved him.
Right, I was going to say that.
That's because he knows where the bodies are buried.
It could have been the same thing for Ryan.
And they don't want to fire Jim Boylan either.
But this is my question.
Like the GM to be open-minded about him.
But this is my question. This is my question to you all. I think we probably assume that Boylan's gone. I think we can assume that. How much of a change do we think is going to see with the roster? Now, the Bulls, the cap hit, not cap hit, but the cap isn't bad. I don't have any kind of like overblown contracts, anything like that. They might have some ones that's kind of like, man, we shouldn't have gave them that money, but at least it's coming off the books a little bit soon. But what do we
I
think
think
about the
they're
roster?
clean after 2021.
2021. All right. Okay, so I'm that's what
I
I'm
think
curious
any
about.
good. I'll be honest with you.
I think the coach is gone. I'm gonna look
Yeah,
at the
get
roster.
Boylan out, but
Yeah,
I think
coach is gone.
any reasonable personnel person has to view the roster himself outside of just coming in and just making wholesale changes. So I think you, especially now when we say the roster, like if there's some guys, some ancillary parts that you can move, cool. But unless you get a crazy trade offer, I think that whoever comes in was going to want to see probably Zach, Lori,
Kobe.
Thank you, Kobe. I think they're going to want to see those players at least, even if it's not the entire season, at least for half of the season until perhaps the trade deadline, so they can see if it's the players or was it necessarily the culture. If there's something that they can get out of those players before getting rid of something that may come back to haunt you in the future.
Here's some Bulls optimism. What if they start the season around like Labor Day? And then they already hired this new GM so he can see a couple weeks worth of the Bulls playing with this core group.
I think that new executive is going to be hired within the next couple of weeks because
probably
this is moving
it might be
pretty
next
fast. Week. Yeah, it's moving pretty fast. So that is a lot of optimism right there. If you're looking at it from the perspective of just trying to see exactly what the team is going to be for the next season, yeah, you do want somebody to come in and kind of like, okay, I'm here now. I have a chance to kind of see these guys live in action. Besides being from the outside looking in and looking at tape and, you know what I'm saying, asking questions here or there when I come and walk inside the Advocate Center. But that would be good for them, you know, if it was to happen. But it seems as if the hiring is going to happen probably within, if not the end of this month, maybe leading to the top of next month. It seems like this is going to happen.
Well, they've been putting in so much work on this list and looking around like it's an impressive list. They want to move, I think, on this.
I think they do,
which is surprising. It's very un-Bulls-like.
Plus, you want that person to be in there and have some time before the draft gets there.
Mm-hmm.
What if they want to switch out some of the scouts?
Yeah.
You know, now sometimes you hold on to scouts when it gets this close to the draft, but perhaps
if there's anything to scout.
Yeah. But still,
can you go scout?
Yeah, but you may still. But you know what? You still may want to have like-minded scouts in the room with you rather than guys you don't know. So, because you don't even know the philosophies and how they view things, you guys may not view it through the same lens. So you may want to have scouts that you are comfortable with and feel a connection to, and that it's translated to good players that are on the court. So you may want. There's more changes than just that guy at that position.
Oh yeah.
Especially because remember, one thing is Pax is the person that is trying to modernize the Bulls. So if we're talking about that their scouting ranks have been lesser when it comes to the NBA, and we've known usually that's what we've heard, that the department is small. If not, you're probably going to want to see this person got a lot of work to do when they get here to get the Bulls to the level they're supposed to be with the rest of the NBA that's successful.
And also, too, with the pandemic going on right now, let's just say the NBA and Adam Silver say, you know what? The season is done. This is kind of flipping from your question, Ryan. Just say the season is done. Then whoever it may be has a chance now to go out and start hiring guys now too. You know, so
like coaches,
assistant coaches, the GM.
Yeah.
Hell, you have the scouts. You know what I'm saying? You might not be able to do anything, go out and see anybody, but at least now there's a sense of like, okay, now we know where we're at. I'm in here now. Let's go ahead and kind of get this thing going. So it's better late than never. But I guess they're kind of seeing exactly what happens with the rest of the season. But I think this hire is going to happen really soon.
You said that one challenge was that every 2 minutes the world's changing and the challenges are changing, and we're getting close to April 18th, but we still got 12 days. Is there anything that could happen that would nix this thing at this point?
I would never say no. I mean, I don't even know what is possible with this thing. If you'd have told me a month ago that Las Vegas would shut down and every casino would be closed for a month, I would never believe that. So anything is possible, but whatever obstacles pop up, we'll try to fix it, man. I'm going to tell you this. I'm this close to getting the deal done. So this place where this fight's going to be on April 18th, I have locked up for 2 months. So I'm going to continue to pump fights out. I've also secured an island. I've got an island. The infrastructure is being built right now. We're going to do all of our international fights on this island. So when April 18th, when we do this fight on April 18th, international and local, in the United States, we're going to start cranking. The UFC will be back up and running internationally and here in the States.
Dana White secured a U.S. location, a private island for a UFC fight. This is from ESPN real quick. Just a couple of excerpts. He said the location will host weekly fights for at least the next 2 months. Additionally, White said that he started to work on an undisclosed island where he could conceivably book flights for international athletes who can't come to the U.S. He said, I'll tell you this, I'm close to getting a deal done. So this place where this fight's going to happen on April 18th, I locked up for 2 months. I'm going to continue to pump fights out. I also secured an island. I got an island. The infrastructure is built right now. We're going to do all the international fights on the island.
So this is the definition of greed, in my opinion.
Kind of. Can I say one thing real quick?
What's up? What?
One part. I don't think this is a good idea. But if for instance, I'm more of a boxing fan than an MMA fan.
Right.
But in a world of no sports, especially when you're probably number 5, maybe as far as the most,
best.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Probably somewhere like that. Yeah. It's a good chance for you to try to get up there and I won't say go after hockey, but still to try to be in front of eyeballs. I get it.
Yeah,
just as far as marketing wise, when people are thirsting for sports, we live in a world nowadays where there's so many things to take our attention away. If you're a sports fan, it's only old rewind sports are out there. So I get why he's doing it. I just don't think it's a smart idea for how important I think what's going on is.
Right, but this is the thing though. So first point, I think I said before to kick it off. I think this is the definition of greed, because as we said before with the MLB talking about moving out to Arizona. So do you have this? I know Trump is his buddy, right? Do you have an abundance of tests? You have an abundance of tests to test everybody coming in and out?
Oh yeah, Trump. You know, he's gonna have more tests than hospitals have.
So, to my point, the definition of greed. So you have all these people coming in, right, to this undisclosed island. So now you have potentially, you don't know if somebody is probably going to be asymptomatic or what's happening, right? Let's say if somebody tests gives a false negative or whatever the case may be, right? Comes in here. Now you're in a secluded on a secluded island just there. I'm sure you can fly in and out, but now you're in a contained space, right? So that's problematic. Number 2, so I mean, I know we have satellites and things of that nature, but now you're talking about building an infrastructure to be able to simulcast and broadcast this over the world, really, right? On this deserted island, not deserted island, but off this island. So now you're banking on the simple fact of, okay, we got to make sure we have the connectivity.
Do they have enough Ethernet ports?
Yeah, do you have the connectivity to do this? It's like so many logistical things. And also, number 3, UFC, you have to pay for their fights. Ken, I get you that people want to see sports, but you have to pay to see these sports.
Well, not all of them. The undercards are usually on ESPN.
But damn, if you want to see but if you want to see the
hey, guess what? Right now,
you see anything?
People watch those undercards right now.
Get out of here!
But if you want to see the top dogs, you gotta pay. So it'd be one thing if he said, hey, we're going to move these to these private islands. We're going to bank on what Ken said, get the advertising dollars, get the marketing dollars, get those eyes on us. But we're going to just exclusively play it through our deal on ESPN. That would be something. That I can see. But if you kind of pay, you're telling me to pay for UFC 9,025 off the coast of the Bermuda Triangle, it's going to like, what, dude? Like, I don't know.
But location when it comes to pay-per-view doesn't even matter. People that pay for UFC fights are going to pay for it. So why leave that money on the table? Again, I'm playing devil's advocate right here. This isn't the Davis philosophy. I'm only saying as far as I get what you're saying, but guess what? Those people that pay for those PPVs, they're going to pay for it. So why leave money in hand when you could put that in the bank while other people aren't collecting dollars?
Because it goes to my point, and we talked about
you want to go to the Comiskey.
I said
and have the draft.
Right?
the draft
because the draft is endangering who, Ryan? The Wi-Fi. That's all you worried about is the Wi-Fi connections.
Listen, you could do the draft virtually. That's whatever. My whole point was
everything's whatever with this draft.
Well, with MLB, it's like the whole thing. I mean, not with MLB, but just basically being period about going back out in general. It's like I want to wait until like, everyone says, "Hey, you can go out." But do I think it's a good idea? Hell no. It ain't no worth. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. We are living through a pandemic. It ain't worth it.
According to Ryan's philosophy, the 2K tournament that ESPN is doing is a bad idea too, and it's dangerous as fuck.
No, because it doesn't impact basketball.
Oh, what about the Wi-Fi?
What about basketball? Oh yeah, the football. We all know the draft doesn't matter. The draft is nothing in the NFL.
Oh, Ronnie 2K would be ashamed of you. We'd be ashamed of you right now.
As I said,
hey, the draft, whatever. Just pick somebody. Who cares? We'll draft them and we'll coach them. We'll develop them. It doesn't matter.
But why wouldn't you know who you were picking? First, you're going to go for need and best player available. So you already know what you need. You already have free agency. You know where your holes are at. Unless you get a player that's overwhelming and you like, I got to take him because he fell right here.
It's a lot of factors that are going to go into all this stuff. Like I said before, man, I just don't think it's worth it. You can wait. Dana White is a.
You're not going to watch the fight, Steve?
Dana White is
if they put him on?
He can wait, huh?
Are you going to watch the fight, Steve, if they put him on?
No, I don't even watch him now.
What if it was the live stream?
I'm not a big. If it was free on ESPN, would I watch it then?
Let's say it was free.
Maybe. I'm not. I mean, I like the UFC. I like MMA, but it's nothing that I go out there and seek. You know what I'm saying?
So you're going to hold the show back by not watching the only sport on
listen,
TV.
If we had to watch it, I would give you the best breakdown of the Brazilian judo you ever want to see. But it's just not my bag. It's just, listen, man, it comes to the point where you got to be like, all right, dude, we can just wait.
Do you think that these fighters are even like training? Like, are they just training like usual?
How could they? Who am I sparring with? How could you? If we get on Dak Prescott from out there throwing a football to throw somebody 50, 60 yards away, that's more than 6 feet.
Hey, real talk.
What the hell is somebody going to be sparring with somebody in a cage?
If you think these fools are going to go risk their life in a cage and not practice the best of their abilities, I think they're sparring. Like it's no question.
Oh, I'm not saying. Listen, I don't think it's smart to do it. I think other people are probably doing it? Absolutely.
I'm not going in there without my usual regiment. I'm chill. So I'm not like that's how you could die. Like,
but you know what,
man.
Ken, are you gonna go ahead?
You gonna watch the fights?
I woke up like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was a fight that was on. It was a Friday. I woke up that Saturday morning and I watched. It was pretty good. I watched at least 2 or 3 fights. If it catches me, I'll watch it. There's definitely skill to it. Again, it's just I didn't grow up with it, so I don't have the same affinity for it as boxing. And historically, like I knew, I know like Ken Shamrock and like Tito and like everybody. All those guys like
John Bones Jones.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with John Bones Jones though. I've had a closer eye on the UFC since he's been in it. Mm-hmm. But I remember when it was really just coming up and stuff like that. I'll watch it if it comes across. But I'm not sitting here like, man, give me something like Dana White's out there. Like people are going to go stir crazies in their house, so he has to do this. I mean,
I just don't think that.
Listen, if you're in your house,
it ain't the U.S. It's not the NFL. Nobody's gonna go like, "Oh my God, yes, I have UFC."
There are some people. There are some people that are gonna do. Yes, I got UFC.
But think about it.
Real quick.
But they have to pay for the big star.
But they already going to pay. They were already going to pay for it. They're already paying for it.
No. I'm talking about somebody like me, someone who's an avid sports fan. I'm not gonna go pay for it. They don't have me.
Would you do it, though, to see an actual live performance? I mean, when's the last time we saw anything live besides, like, newscasters doing stuff from their house?
No.
I think a lot of people –
there's going to be more people. There are going to be more people than usually to pay for –
You think you're going to get?
I'm not. So listen, if you get 15%, yeah, but you're on the other end of the spectrum of that casual fan. You know what I'm saying? How many pay-per-views do you buy in general?
Oh no,
it's not wrestling.
No, none.
Okay, so that you're on the, but to people that may spend money on PPVs, now I usually, when it comes to boxing, have spent money on PPVs. Now there hasn't been a UFC fight that I've been like I have to. There's been like one or two, and I think I tried to see if I can get it or whatever. Mm-hmm. But those people, that 15%, let's just say maybe 20%, probably 10 to 20. Somewhere on that end, if you can get an increase of those people to be fans of yours that naturally wouldn't, marketing wise, that's why you do something like this. Real quick.
Yeah, what's up?
When Dana White said that people are going to go stir crazy in their house, and this is what he has to do. If you're in your house and you're going to go stir crazy, I don't know if violent man fighting is what you necessarily need to be watching
while you are at home watching.
Exactly. Come here, girl. Let me hit you with this tiger knee.
Wait a minute.
I did watch kickboxing the other night.
Hey, that's a good point, Ken. Because when you watch wrestling, what is the first thing you want?
Oh, you want to put somebody in somebody?
Yeah. Right. Get that grapple. Get over here. Throw him up the ropes.
I mean, and not to be funny, but there has been a lot of uptick on domestic violence because people are stuck in the house. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to, you know what I'm saying, go into listen, I just don't. I don't think it's a good idea. I'm sorry.
I don't think none of us think it's a good idea.
I don't think it's a good idea to try to go get up. Nobody. None of us. I don't think it's a good idea.
I'm more so wondering how many people will really watch this.
I don't think that many. I don't think they're going to be able to pull over.
I think it's going to be a considerable.
Listen.
Spectacle factor.
Hold on. Let me see. I'll ask y'all this. So one big thing about UFC fights, like boxing, Ken, is that you go out to bars and whatnot, and you go see as a watch party, right? Mm-hmm. So you're banking on the people who would, as you said, kind of a casual fan. Me, I would probably go to a Buffalo Wild Wings or a bar or whatever like that, go see a fight some way. I don't care about Buffalo. I don't care about no wings. I'm talking about just going to sit, watch the damn fight. I don't care about no damn wings.
Buffalo Wild Wings is not popping.
I don't care.
Well, please continue.
I just want to see the TV. So.
And they don't want to serve. They're going to tell you to move away from sitting next to some white folks.
Did you just say Buffalo
Wild Wings? I'm like, you got to move, Blackie.
So was in Indiana. You don't mess with Indiana. No, but you're banking on those fans that go out there, who the casual fans that go to a watch party to say, hey, I'm going to drop. How much does a UFC fight cost? $80, $70?
Nah, it's not as much as a boxing fight.
50.
It's probably. I was gonna say it's 50. I was gonna say 49. Okay, I was gonna say it's 50.
Also,
it's not like boxing.
Wait a minute. But also, you're asking people to do this when a lot of people aren't even working. Too. Yeah, a lot of people have lost their jobs.
They'll have those.
It's like a 30% unemployment rate coming.
You know that stimulus check
could be right there.
Let me give $50 to Trump's best friend.
Trump gonna make sure that.
Let me help you out there, kid.
If you don't think he's gonna make sure them checks drop right before that fight,
man.
If you don't think one thing too that I want to point out to where it's gonna definitely help them. So I was watching First Take this morning, and Stephen A. Smith, I was really paying attention to this discussion on Dana White, being a partner with ESPN. Mm-hmm. And Max was like, what Dana was doing is smart, and one of the reasons was it's not like football or baseball where you have so many people. It's one fighter, his crew, empty stadium, skeleton crew. Stephen A. Smith his angle was Dana White just needs to be out in front of it, so that he tells the narrative that the reasons he's really doing it. And the reason I want to point out to you why it still could be a benefit for the UFC is, don't forget the UFC is running on ESPN's engine right now. And ESPN is going to be playing hell of highlights from those UFC fights because they don't have anything. So the only thing I'm saying is they're going to be – think about this too real quick. We're older. Like if I'm 14, 15, stuck in the house – without anything to do, and you giving me live action, maybe I like combative sports already, and I could go on YouTube, start watching some old stuff. You're like, there are fans out there right now that we may not be the demographic.
But you got to convince your parents in an economic time right now.
No, because
you spend $50.
No, because these kids they can steal this stuff. And the only point I'm making is,
but
you're still building out your fan. The point that I made initially is, right now when there's nothing else live to watch, you can build out your fan base. So again, I'm playing the devil's advocate, but you can still, there's gains to be made from going after it when you have the biggest sports conglomerate when it comes to media behind you, pumping you out even before this happens. And they're thirsty to have any live action for them to run for these hosts throughout the week.
But why
and interviews. You're going to see more UFC fighters doing interviews than you usually see on ESPN.
But this is my question. So I watched WrestleMania this weekend, right? It was over 2 days. They pre-taped it. I don't know when they taped it, but they have been
Yesterday.
Yesterday. But they've been doing their live shows. I don't know, but they've been doing their live shows with nobody in the arena. Same thing like with the other wrestling promotions, whatever like that. My question to Dana White is, why does he have to go to an island?
That's for the international people, like
or had
what's the kid that just beat? What's the kid that beat I forget his name, the Russian
Conor
dude.
McGregor.
He can't.
Habib.
Yeah, Habib. He said he's not fight. He was supposed to fight Tony Ferguson. He said he wasn't because he was going to stay because Russia, I think, has a no flight thing going on.
No flight restrictions or flight restrictions.
A flight restriction. So that now Tony Ferguson said that's his excuse because this is going to be like the 5th time they didn't have this fight. So again, when you're looking at it, because you just said this, I watched WrestleMania. You wasn't complaining about them out there sweating.
No. I am.
The reason is for the international fighters that can't come into America. That's why I was talking about international waters.
Okay.
Because like if you ever been on a cruise, and you 18, as soon as y'all get like 30 minutes outside of Miami, they be like, you kids can drink. So you hit international waters, you can just do whatever. So that's why he has a private island. And it also sounds dope when you say private island.
Private island. No, but that was one of my biggest things, kind of like a whole thing about being isolated on an island. That just seems kind of weird. That's why I was like, okay, why is he doing it? But thank you for clarifying that. My whole thing with the WWE, with the WrestleMania, I was of the same ilk saying, like, why are you having it? You can go ahead and just wait. But I'm keep saying it's greedy. They want to keep it going.
Watched all of it.
But it's the thing though, I already paid for it. I mean, they already have my money. I paid for it. Yeah. I mean,
you were endangering people when you was watching that, right?
Yeah, probably.
You could have sent them a message about how you don't like stuff like that and you care about it, but also you want to risk Tony's life, so we know the type of person you are.
I said, if everybody come out and say it's fine to go outside,
you gonna go because they told you.
Hey, listen, I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a basketball season. It's going to be damn near not be an MLB season, and they might get it in with the NFL. And the NHL might as well go ahead and stop playing because then probably nobody watch them anyway.
Well done. Your head.
I mean, listen, hockey is a niche sport, and I mean, it's not like they draw millions of they draw millions of eyes, no doubt, now especially they're the national sport of our Canadian neighbors, but it just ain't the same. You know what I'm saying? It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm sorry.
Hockey, specifically. That's what Dean
Let's do that. Hockey.
Not worth it.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thank you so much for watching us, and you can definitely listen to us as well. Make sure you subscribe and rate and all that good stuff at iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Music, Stitcher, TuneIn app, War on Anchor, Kickstarter, Spotify, and of course YouTube. Okay, follow me on Twitter. Follow the show on Twitter and IG at D and Davis Show. I'm on Twitter and IG at Demons1. Ken's at That's Davis on IG and Twitter, and Ryan B. Ski on Twitter and Ryan B. Ski 1. That's Ryan Bukoveski.
One more time, Cal Ripken is selfish.
Oh my God!
Think about the time that Cal Ripken. Think about the time that Cal Ripken was sick and should have stayed his ass at home.
Hey, somebody
was like, "No, I'm gonna play today, baby."
Hey, he got 6 feet distance on the field, so he was all right.
Bobby Bonilla over here coughing.
That Lou Gehrig, he deserved that disease.
Rafael Palmeiro almost missing his vein when he's trying to inject his stimulants into his arm because he hacking because of Cal over here out here playing or whatever. I'm just playing
easy, Mark. I'll get to you in a second.
Hey.
But look, we're definitely going to be back with Westworld Flip and also Dan Davis to Flip this weekend. Stay safe. We always appreciate you spending a little time with us. Hopefully we entertain you, gave you a little bit of knowledge on the way when it comes to sports, and definitely we're going to jump into everything else outside of sports with both Flip properties that Ryan is the executive producer of. Listen, again, stop playing. Really take it serious. If you got to go out when it comes to washing your hands, so you got to be mindful not to touch your nose or your mouth. You got to have your hand sanitizer right there to go. just be really mindful. I know it sounds silly me having to remind you, but it's easy for any of us to forget something real quick and do like that. Mm-hmm. And that could not just change your life, it could change somebody's life that you care about or don't even know. So just be mindful of it, because there's a lot of people out there that's dependent on you that you don't even know that are dependent on you. Don't do anything stupid before you hear from us again.
Make sure you throw your gloves in the trash cans too, everybody. All right?
Right.
Keep your hands to yourself.